Good afternoon. I have a very interesting man to interview today. Your name is?
Shane Ostermeier,
Okay, and we're in,
Meridian, Idaho, at my house.
okay,
Yeah,
all right. And so you are now in business and um, almost totally blind, right?
I am. Yeah,
But your whole life hasn't been like that.
No, I didn't lose my vision. I started losing most of my vision in my mid-30s. In fact, I drove until I was 34. So I'm actually, I would say I'm still getting used to my vision loss and still learning blindness skills
It's
every day.
changing, right?
Yeah, my vision is changing, my skills are changing. Um, I remember the first time I tried to use a white cane and cross the street and I ended up behind cars. Because my trainer was like, well, you gotta learn. And I was like, yes, I do. So
Everybody does it.
yes, we do.
So you went to elementary school as a sighted kid.
I went to elementary school and high school.
And you had a brother?
I did. I have a twin brother. Sadly, he passed away in 2001. And the reason I know about my blindness is actually him. When we were in high school, our junior year of high school, he was struggling to see books, see things, and my mom started to notice that he would take off the lampshades to get more light. And so his room was just, all the lampshades were off and all the lights would be on so that he could try to just read. And she took him to a doctor in Twin Falls. And the doctor said, well, I think I know what this is, but I want to make sure. And so they sent him to Salt Lake, to the Moran Eye Center in Salt Lake, where they confirmed that he had retinitis pigmentosa. And because we were identical twins, they believed that I had it as well. Interestingly, though, at the time when they tested me, I had no symptoms. I had no vision issues at all at that point, actually. And where Reed, my brother, lost the ability to drive at 17 and couldn't get a renewed license, any of those kinds of things. And so I started driving him and being his wheels, as he called me.
Oh, so was he able to do his own reading through school?
He was. He struggled. Obviously, his vision was starting to really decline. But he did all of his reading. In fact, he didn't get any assistive type stuff at that point until he went to college is when he started needing assistive help.
And you both went to college?
We both went to college. My brother went to CSI, which is a community school college in Twin Falls. And then he went to Boise State University. I went to Idaho State University.
For the whole 4 years?
For my whole 4.
Uh-huh. And so you both got degrees?
We both got degrees. Mine is in leadership studies. My brother's was in health sciences. And he worked as a personal trainer at a local athletic club in Meridian until his death.
And he also raised some cattle?
He did. He raised cattle. That was his love. That was his passion. And my grandfather always shared this story that my brother couldn't see any of the animals at all, could not see them. And my grandpa thought it was hilarious that he would take him and he would say it this way, I'd take my blind grandson to the auction and he walks out with better steers than I do. And my brother would go around and feel the animals, be around the pens closer up, that kind of thing. He'd have people describe them to him. And at the end of every year, they would buy those animals early in the spring. And then in the fall, they'd take them back to market. And my brother always ended up with more money for his than my grandfather. And my grandfather always thought it was funny that he could see the steers and yet didn't pick the good ones. And my brother, who couldn't see the steers, picked the good ones and really had a profit. And my brother really enjoyed all of those things. He was a cowboy, really, at heart.
He could even identify them by smell?
He could identify them by smell. There was a night where I drove him home, and drove into his lane, and there were cattle in the area, and I wasn't really paying attention, and he says, Shane, is there a cow right there? And I turned around and I looked, and it was pitch black, by the way. It was at nighttime. There was no way he could see it. And I turned around, saw the cow, and said, yes, there is one right here. And he goes, okay, just wanted to make sure. And I said, well, how did you know it was there? And he goes, I smelled it. And I kind of started laughing, and he was describing how he uses his other senses, like smell, to know where the animals are in the field, especially if they're nearby, or if they're mooing or whatever, he'll try to figure it out, kind of what's going on.
So he never did use a white cane?
He never did use a white cane, no. He, through all of his college life, and he passed away when he was 26, he would use big flashlights, those kinds of things, to try to shine it on his feet. But he never did learn to use a white cane, no.
And he didn't get services for the blind officially?
Not officially.
You got somebody to read for him?
He did. My mom found a friend that read books for him through college. He did a few things with the commission, but very limited.
Commission for the Blind?
Commission for the Blind.
Yeah.
And it was very limited. But yeah, he kind of just figured out his own thing.
Was he embarrassed about blindness?
No, he wasn't embarrassed about blindness. He just didn't really talk a lot about it.
Yeah.
He really was a confident guy and just did his thing. And
He
learned to adapt and just figure it out. He really, the motto, right, of the NFB is to live the life you want, and he did that. Now, he didn't do a lot of the blind skills that I wish he would have done, to be honest, but he lived his life, to the fullest.
Sure.
And yes, it was a short life, but he loved every minute of it and didn't let blindness stop him at all. From raising cattle to being even a personal trainer.
So when you started losing vision, you kind of had to live up to that?
I did, yeah. I had to live up to that independence. And I knew it was coming, right? Because I obviously had been diagnosed. He had been diagnosed as a teen, and I clearly knew I had it at that point, just because I was an identical twin. And so every time I would see something, or maybe, I guess the answer to that is not see something, I started to kind of go, okay, are my eyes starting to shift?
But you went to college and you didn't have problems with your eyes during college?
Not at all, no. I had no vision issues all the way through my undergrad and my master's degree. My master's degree is in student personnel, and that's from the University of Nebraska. Lincoln, yeah.
But
Go Big Red.
You played some football in college?
Just very little. I decided early on. I played in high school very well.
Because you're a big guy.
I am a big guy, yes. And my brother played as well. We always thought it was funny because he played offense and I played defense.
Oh, really?
So we were always against each other in practice, which was kind of a hilarious thing. And I guess even that, he had been diagnosed before our senior year, and he still played football. And he even went to the school for the deaf and blind just to see if there were some services. And what was funny about that, and the reason I share it, Ramona, is he met with the Gooding School high school football coach.
The public school?
The public school coach. And the coach said to him, you can still play, even if you're losing your vision. You can feel the guys. You're an offensive guy. You need to feel them and just block them. And that's what he did.
And listen.
Yeah. And that coach, I don't remember his name, but he really, he didn't need to say that to my brother, and he did. And it was great because it kept him motivated.
A lot of coaches know how to coach.
Yes, they do. And he didn't see, and that coach worked with deaf students mainly. That played at the Gooding High School program, but he saw my brother and saw an opportunity to say, keep going, and I really think that was great.
Yeah. So you held office in college?
I did. I ran for student body president at ISU and won, and that was an amazing experience. I got to meet with the president regularly, the dean of students regularly,
The college
the
president.
college president. And then I also, every month, had to attend the State Board of Education's
Oh,
meetings.
really?
Yeah, so I traveled and met with the state board. I met with local legislators all the time. Even met with governors at the time.
So the university kind of used you as student body president to
Absolutely.
promote the programs.
To promote the programs. And a funny story is I was student body president at ISU. Another one of my friends, he was a year behind me in high school, was student body president at the University of Idaho at the same time. And our local legislator from Jerome, her name was Maxine Bell. She was, do you know Maxine?
I did.
Maxine was the chair of JFAC at the time.
Yes, she was.
And she thought it was pretty cool that the little small town of Jerome had both the ISU student president and the U of I student president. And during the higher education week, she highlighted that. She was like, "Yep, my little town's doing great." So, and of course, university presidents took advantage of that too.
Well, and legislators like to promote their regions.
They do. They like to do that, and and it was great. It taught me a lot. Taught me how to interact with leaders. And
But you met with another president while you were in college.
I did. Yeah. Here's a funny story. I met with the dean of students every week, and we had this rule that if her office phone rang, then I needed to get up because it was an emergency. And so I started to get up because her office phone had rung, and I started to head for the door. And she said, "Shane, stop. It's for you. It's the White House for you." I'm like, "The White House?" And they were inviting me to meet with President Clinton in Akron, Ohio, to talk about diversity and talk about relations on college campuses. And I was the only student leader from Idaho that had been invited. They had invited leaders from all around the country. I also, at that opportunity, met with some of the cabinet, but also met with, he was a fascinating man. I met with Senator John Glenn because it was in Ohio.
Oh, you didn't go to D.C.?
No, we went to, Akron, Ohio is where they held it. And the president flew in. I had to go through background, had to go through all the Secret Service stuff, all that kind of stuff, which was eye-opening, let me tell you. But it had a great experience. That same year, I also met Vice President Al Gore at another meeting. That one was in Washington, D.C. And I was there again representing ISU and meeting with government, the federal government leaders at that point, and talking about education.
What are you proud of that you, besides all these people you met and what you learned, but what are you proud of that you accomplished as student body president?
I think the biggest thing, was making sure that the student voice was heard. One of the biggest meetings we held every year was in the discussion of raising tuition. And the student leader voice was heard very clearly in those meetings. In fact, at that time, the state board would request that we would testify whether or not we would support those fees
To the legislature.
to the legislature being raised. So those were important meetings. And if a fee was going to be raised, I wanted to make sure that it went to something that the students really wanted or really needed. So at that time, there was a movement on our campus for three things. One was a public radio station, which still exists today, and I helped get that started. And that's KISU. The other one was a debate team. They wanted a debate team. That is still going as well.
Oh, good.
And because marching band was a big thing in all the local high schools, students wanted that opportunity at ISU, and at the time did not have it. And we started that as well. Those three things I'm proud of because they're still there today.
Yeah.
They're all three there. They're all three thriving. And it's awesome to see that happening today.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So after you graduated, you say you went from ISU to Nebraska and got a master's?
I did. I got a master's degree, a two-year degree in college student personnel. So I work, and it's funny because in college I was like, what am I going to do with my life, right? Like, what's my career? And because of all my student activities, student involvement, I learned that I could do that for a living. And so I got a degree in working with students at colleges. And that's my master's.
You went on in graduate school beyond the master's, did you?
I did, yeah. I worked towards a doctorate in educational leadership.
Nebraska?
That was at Idaho State. I went back to Idaho State. After my career, or after my time at Nebraska, I went and worked at several other colleges. I worked at Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon.
Oh.
Worked at a small private college in Michigan called Hope College. Then went to back to ISU for a quick interim stint. Then went to the University of Utah, where I worked.
You covered some territory.
I did. I've covered territory. And then when I ended my career, I went back to ISU and was there for several years. But then I ended my career at the College of Western Idaho in Nampa, Idaho.
So you had some family issues to deal with, and that changed your career some?
It did change my career, yeah. I'm often asked, Shane, did you retire from education because of your vision? And the answer to that is no. The reason I retired from education was to help my family. My mom, after my dad died, moved down to Meridian, where I was living. And her parents had both recently passed, and she had inherited, along with my uncle, a very successful business. My grandparents had created a large business in real estate, and she was needing my help. She was starting to have health issues, those kinds of things going on, and she said, Shane, can you step away and help run this? And I said, yes, I can. And I did, and have been learning ever since how to manage business. My degree, is in counseling, basically, and not business. And so I had to learn to really look at things in a different way.
But you were working in some of these college jobs. You were working in business.
Yeah, I was an administrator, and so I was supervising multiple departments at the same time, as well as multi-million-dollar budgets. And so it wasn't a hard transition to start looking at it in a business way. What's different is I had not really ever looked at how land works. Like, I'm used to talking to people, and land doesn't talk back. And so I had to learn kind of, how to appreciate that. And it also, it is still talking with people. I do have tenants, and I do have farmers and all those kinds of things.
If I just listen right now, you're now blind, and you weren't blind when you graduated from college.
That's right.
So you left something out.
Yeah. So I lost most of my vision when I was 35. In fact, I was in the process of taking my doctoral exams, and I started to realize that I couldn't see the computer screen. And I went to the Disability Services Office as a doctorate student, and in fact, it was a colleague. I was an administrator at the time, and I walked in and I said, I'm not here as an administrator, I'm here as a student. And had a chat with them about, I'm losing my vision. It's starting to become an issue. I'm not able to see the screen of the computer that the exams are on. So worked with them, got all the required things into them that showed that, yes, I was vision impaired and going blind. And he was obviously a friend as well. And so he got me the services I needed in order to take that exam and to be successful.
You got a reader or had it recorded or something?
I had it recorded.
Yeah. Did he help you get, or were you already in touch with the Idaho Commission for the Blind and Visually
Impaired? I was not at that time. Okay. No, I didn't become connected with the Commission for the Blind until I moved down here to work at CWI and started that job at the college. And that summer before I moved down here, I decided I was going to stop driving. I was no longer safe driver, and said, no, I'm not going to risk this. I was always worried that I would hit somebody or something like that would happen. So I made the decision to stop driving, moved down here, starting a brand new job, and recognizing I was now, as I would say, blind, right? Couldn't see, couldn't drive. Went to my job. My boss, who had hired me, actually was from ISU and had transferred to CWI, and he had headhunted me and said, I need you at CWI. And I told him about the vision issues, and he's like, I'm not worried about that. I need you. I want you. And
but you enlarged computer screens and things like that?
Yeah, CWI.
So you were still using your vision even though it wasn't.
I was still using my vision. But about, I would say 6 months in to my job, I reached out to Dana, to the commission. Dana was working at the commission at the time. Dana Ard. And Dana met with me, met with my boss, and helped me get services. I got a screen reader because I needed that. And then I had someone coming to my office and help me with mobility training.
So when did you first take the cane?
There at CWI.
And somebody just brought it and said, "Here, Kane, is this?
Yeah.
Here, Shane, is this long enough?"
Yeah, Steve Archibald brought it.
Look at he.
Yeah, Steve was the person who trained me how to use my cane.
Okay, he's got you started.
Yeah, he got me started, and one of the reasons is because I was working in the CTE program at the College of Western Idaho. CTE is a career technical education. I was working in the shops, and I was going into shops where there was cars, welding, machines that were running. He and I had to help. He taught me how to navigate that safely with my cane.
And so, how long a cane do you use now?
Oh gosh.
You don't know.
I don't know the height. I just got a new one when I was in New Orleans.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'5".
And how does it come up to your chin?
It comes right up to my chin.
Okay.
Kind of my cheek line.
Did you start with it that tall?
No.
Most people don't.
And it's gotten longer because I've gotten healthier and I now walk a lot faster. And so because of that, like that's one reason I got a new cane when I was in New Orleans, because the cane I was using was way too short and I was going too fast. And so I was like, I gotta get a new cane. And so I went to the market and got one.
Good for you.
So
that's one of the things you demonstrate, the ability to make changes when they seem obvious.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not everybody does. How did you find the National Federation of the Blind?
It was actually during COVID. I had retired, was doing stuff with the family, and
you retired from the CWI.
CWI, yeah. I need to say it that way because I'm not retired at all. I work very full time. So, in fact, you may have just heard my phone ring a few minutes ago. That was a business call. So, I got involved with NFB just before COVID. I was wanting to get connected to the blind community. And wanting just a different outlet and wanting support, those kinds of things. And so reached out to Dana because that's who I had known from the commission. And she said, Shane, there's this group called NFB. And I said, okay. And so then very first meeting I attended was on the phone. And Susan Bradley was kind of greeted me. And I listened in and enjoyed that.
Those are pretty good people. Susan Bradley's the chapter president.
Yeah.
Dan's the state president.
Dan's the state president.
Pretty good place to start.
They were pretty good places to start. And they, and I kind of started slow, but jumped right in. Just that's because that's who I was. And I think it might have been less than a year. I was suddenly elected secretary of our chapter. I think it was about a year in. So it came pretty fast. So,
that's because you had skills that
yeah.
some of us didn't
Yeah,
have.
I loved it. I was secretary, I think, for like 3 years.
So
Enjoyed
now
it.
when you use the computer, you use it with speech output?
I do. I have to use a screen reader, and I use Apple products, so I use VoiceOver on all of my things.
Macintosh?
Yep, I use Mac products, and I even am now experimenting. I'm not great at them yet because I've just had them I bought them just shortly after convention in July, using my meta glasses now occasionally.
You use them to read print?
I do. I'm using them to read mail, and I'm even using them to read some contracts when I don't have a reader that I.
And you find that satisfactory?
I do.
You got more skill than I do.
Yeah. Well, I can ask it questions and I can ask for more detail. Now sometimes I make a mistake on the question I ask and I have to re-ask it a couple times, but I am getting more detail.
You figure that out.
Yeah.
So do you use the Be My Eyes or Ira or any of those?
I have used both Be My Eyes and Ira. I've used both of those services, and then when I'm dealing with legal contracts, I will be honest, I do use someone that I trust because some of that stuff I just have to have someone that's got a little background.
Live readers will never go completely out of use.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I think technology is great, but there is something about that human connection even when it comes to readers, and it's important. So. Especially when you're dealing with it, I deal with land contracts, and so because of that, I need someone that has a little bit of understanding. And there are some nuances that that aren't picked up by AI. And because of that, I've got to be able to. Have someone that can kind of say, no, Shane, I think this is what they're trying to imply. So that's important. So,
but if you read it word for word, you'll get it. But sometimes that's slow.
Yeah, it is slow. Yeah. So sorry, I'm popular today.
Yeah. Well, we can break this up pretty soon. You get your cup. But most people in business do use assistance for technical documents if they can find anybody.
Yeah, and people ask me all the time, like, Shane, how are you doing all these things with your vision loss? And I was like, that doesn't stop me. My vision loss does not stop me from running a business. And I think that's the biggest lessons for people out there, that are watching this interview.
That's clear.
Blindness does not stop you. And yes, I've learned different skills and I've had to learn different things, and I have to rely on some other kinds of things, but that's it. I still run very successful businesses.
And you still have all that experience you had as a sighted person
absolutely.
That is still applicable.
Absolutely,
and it's clear that you depend. I mean, you don't stop growing when you lose your vision.
No, you don't. And I think that's, I've talked to people that have, maybe not been around blind people, and they're kind of like, well, how do you keep living? And I'm like, what? That's silly. What do you mean? How do I keep living? I adapt, and I bring up things to them. I'm like, don't you adapt when something changes in your life? And they're like, well, yeah. And so I talk about that,
So what's your position now in the NFBI of Idaho?
Ooh. Well,
this has been a kind of a difficult week.
It's been a difficult week and very sad. I have been the second vice president of the affiliate, but because of our loss this week, I'm now first vice president. We lost an amazing person this week, Sandy Streeter, who mentored me as well, and I know you were involved with her as well, Ramona. But
she's a good friend to a lot of people.
She was, and Sandy taught me a lot about the NFB, and sorry if I'm getting emotional, I hope I can live up to her legacy. She was phenomenal.
Something tells me you will.
Yeah, thanks. she meant a lot to me in my short time of knowing her. And sorry, I'm getting emotional about it.
I understand.
She even guided me. You were mentoring me at convention, and she called me every night.
At convention?
At convention.
Oh, good for her.
And so that meant a lot to me. I had you guiding me during the day, and then her kind of debriefing me at night. And so it was kind of a cool process for me.
Besides, she wanted to see through your perception what was going on.
She did. She wanted that, she wanted to kind of know what I thought of how it was my first national convention. And so she was wanting to know how I was feeling about everything and some of my struggles and those kinds of things.
But she wanted to know what was going on, too.
She did. She really did. She said, okay, Shane, now what's happening? And I'm like, all right, here's what's going on. So we would talk about the state presentations, those things she had heard, states mentioned, that kind of stuff. And so it was great. And I will miss her dearly.
Yeah.
Well, I think the whole affiliate will miss her dearly.
Now, I know you have to get these phone calls, but
yes.
Let me ask you one more question. Is there anything that you'd really like to share that I didn't ask?
Wow. That's a great question, Ramona. I would say that I've touched a lot of things.
Yes, you have. You've done very. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I hope I live up to it. The NFB. I have done it before I was a part of NFB, but the NFB has really made sure I keep it in the forefront of my mind, and that's living the life I want.
Keep what in the forefront? Oh,
living the life you want. Living the life I want. It's important, and because of that, I have changed, I think one of the big things, and it's a different video probably, but because of that, I have focused on my health so that I can truly live my life and not let not only my health stop me, but my blindness stop me. Nothing will stop me at this point. And I think that's the big lesson.
And that's exciting to watch. But we need you too.
Yeah. Well, and I think focusing on my health has allowed me to be now able to reconnect and be more involved with NFB. And to start re-engaging. Now I am busy, as the phone calls have suggested today. I have taken over some very busy businesses, but NFB is still going to be a focus and a priority for me.
Well, that's wonderful, but your family needs you to be healthy too.
They do, yes. My mom has passed, and my uncle is suffering from dementia, and so my family is looking for me and my experience in helping with the business stuff. My aunt, who was one of those calls actually, because my phone tells me who calls, so that's a voiceover thing. Anyway, relies on me and looks for my advice in helping with the transition that she's facing with her husband.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate it very much, and we'll try to get a couple of shorts sometime, but if you want to go deal with those calls,
thank you.
We'll back off here.
Yes. Yeah, I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned in my business is that my business doesn't stop. So in real world time, we're filming this on a Sunday, and my phone is ringing for business purposes, and it's because the businesses I'm involved in are continuously moving, and so you have to respond when they come in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.